Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Leah Wietholter. I'm the owner of Workman Forensics in Tulsa. And today we're going to be talking about one of our products, as well as just the first steps to getting organized in a divorce. So welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for attending. Just a couple of things. At the bottom of your screen, you have an option where it says say something nice. That's a chat feature. And so, several people have said hello. And so if you want to leave any comments there, anyway, it's just a nice little chat feature. But if you have a question that you'd like for me to address, especially during the presentation, if you use the ask a question button, it should alert me. And then whenever I can stop, then I'll stop and answer those questions. I will be taking as many questions as you have at the end of the presentation, and we'll probably just do that through the chat feature just because it's a little quicker. So let's go ahead and get started. And also, I was going to mention too, I'm going to switch between a couple of screens. So it may just take a second to switch between those screens, but we should be good to go because I want to be able to show you some things that are live. So first steps to getting organized in a divorce case. Now, I recognize some of the names of some of the people who attended, and it looked like we have with us today some attorneys, maybe paralegals, some accountants or forensic accountants, and potentially some people going through divorce. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty high level where it will apply to everyone. We have more information about all of this. So if you have any questions, then we're happy to answer any questions after the webinar. But I'd like to keep this within a 20-minute presentation and then 10 minutes available for questions if there are any. So today what we're going to talk about are just the most common documents, data, or information needed in a divorce case, and the ultimate goal of some sort of property settlement. We're going to talk about how to organize financial information throughout the case. And then we're also going to talk about find money in divorce. So like I said, I own Workman Forensics here in Tulsa. And I have been a forensic accountant for over 10 years, about 13 years. And I'm a certified fraud examiner. I'm a private investigator. My background is in accounting. And I've found a lot of money in divorce cases whenever someone has suspected hidden assets or maybe understated income. And what I've discovered is that there's a couple, I like to kind of separate forensic accountant tasks or expert tasks into two categories. One category is when you need an expert to weigh in on maybe something of value, a value of something, an opinion about something, some tracing, like if one account was then put into another account and whether that was premarital or marital, that's a whole nother conversation. But those types of things typically involve or require an expert opinion. Also, something else that is commonly in that category is if a divorce is going to involve the valuing of a business, you may need a forensic accountant to go in and look at, has the value of the business been driven down by several different factors? And so we can go in and look at those accounting practices to help business valuation experts. So that's one category. The other category is where we're really focusing find money in divorce in this presentation today is in the area of fact finding. Now, I've been finding money for people for 13 years and I'm really good at it. My team is great at it. We know where to go look and we base it on data. We love data. I have data analysts, CPAs, fraud examiners that work for me. And so by using this process, we're able to identify hidden assets or find where income has been understated. But at the heart of it, like I said, it's fact finding. And so it's just, we know where to go look because this is what we do all the time. But it doesn't mean that you as the client, you as the attorney, legal team, paralegal, or even an accountant who maybe has never done this before can't do these things. You absolutely can. So that's where we're going with our Find Money in Divorce products and trainings, is that you really can do this. and keep it organized in such a way that it's going to benefit your case in the future. So we'll get started. I want to start first with the information checklist. Our first module of the Find Money in Divorce course and workbook goes over this information checklist. These are the things that are most common in a divorce case, in any divorce case. It's just that not everything may apply to a client's situation or your situation. But first, we need to know all of these things are going to be needed. The date of marriage, date of divorce filing, prenup, postnup agreements, whether property was bought or sold during the course of the marriage, and then dates of formation if there's a business involved. So when was the business formed? Were there any significant changes in ownership? Was the company sold? What then happened after the business was sold? Those types of things. We always, always, always need bank statements, whether they're business bank statements or personal bank statements. Bank statements are where we find most of the gold. So we want to make sure that we have as many bank statements that we can get our hands on. And then as we uncover additional information, we may even find that there are more bank statements that we need to request. Then we also look at credit card statements. Credit card statements are really helpful for finding those maybe girlfriend, boyfriend type expenses. It also sometimes, like maybe there's another house, another rental, maybe there's another apartment being rented, things like that. Things that, so the credit card statements are also great, but the bank statements are my favorite. Pay stubs. Pay stubs are often overlooked because, especially now, because so much of this information is digital. So when my husband gets paid, his pay stub goes to his HR account or his employee login. And so we don't necessarily get a paper pay stub anymore. And so we want to make sure when putting together a list of things we need for a divorce case that we include pay stubs, because it's so easy for the individual who's working to have a certain amount of money sent to maybe their main household account and then set up another bank account where they can direct the remainder of the funds. So definitely you want to request pay stubs so that you can look at those things. Then, of course, I feel like this is the most common thing that people ask for are all the tax returns, but you just want to make sure that you get all the tax returns for any businesses, personal, but then also any businesses that are owned. And then we recommend requesting 3 to 5 years worth of financial information. Now, of course, if the marriage was shorter than that, then you just get the entire length of the marriage. But we usually look at the 3 to 5 years up to the date of divorce filing. So one of the first things that we do, the next 3 slides, we're going to go over 3 of the ways that we stay organized at Workman Forensics in our cases. And one of those things is just creating a timeline. So by taking that information list, gathering those documents, gathering those files, and then just writing down in a list. We like Excel. We are accountants, so we love Excel. So we like to create a timeline for our clients of when did they get married? When was the divorce filed? When was the date of separation? When were these businesses created? So just start creating dates. You can even, when was a certain bank account or retirement account, which I didn't really go over that, but also with some of those accounts, you're also going to want brokerage accounts and investment accounts and retirement accounts too. But those are just specific to different situations. And then we also like to make sure on our timeline that we put when something happened, what the event was in that section, and then also how we know this information. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see all of these better. So that's our timeline. It's one of the first things we do. And the reason we keep this in Excel is so we can continue to update it, and then we can also sort by date. And I can't tell you how many things we have found just by continuously updating a timeline whenever a client tells us additional information, and we resort it, and we'll find, wait a second, in this same month, they also did these 3 things. And then that helps us find another trail that we want to go down and investigate further. The next thing we do, because we're gathering all this information, we're going to identify when these events happened in the timeline, but then we also need to keep track of all this information that we've gathered. And we actually have someone on our team that this is one of her primary jobs. She handles all of our data processing and also keeps us organized. And I'm so thankful for Donna. Whenever we get information in, it immediately goes to Donna and she starts completing our document inventory. And these are some of the fields that we have found to be the most helpful over the years. Just when did we receive the information? And then what is the year of the document? So for example, in that first line, it shows a tax return and that let's say it's the 2018 federal income tax 1040 return. And so we're gonna put the document year as 2018. Then we list the document date range. So in this case, it would just cover the entire year, but perhaps we have several years. And so we can document which years we have. And then of course that will also eventually help us identify what years we're missing. We like to list the document type. Is it a bank statement, credit card statement, brokerage statement, tax return, loan document? Just because sometimes as you continue to keep this document inventory updated, and some of these cases can last years. I just had one settle that had been filed in 2014 and we just settled it in February. So keeping a document inventory was really beneficial, or it's always beneficial on every case, especially when it's drawn out over so many years. But when somebody asks us, oh, what years do we have tax returns for? We can go and we can filter this Excel spreadsheet by tax return and identify that information. Then we're going to put our document descriptions, and a lot of times we just list in that column what the document is actually called. And then we like to operate in a paperless environment, which has come in pretty handy over the last few weeks. And so we like to list our file names and then our folder, just what folder are these different files in, so that we can go find it quickly. And we reference this all the time. Then also we have something called a Bates stamp. And for those of you who aren't attorneys, we're gonna actually look at that in just a second because I'd have to switch screens. But as documents come in on a case, especially through discovery, the legal team will often put a stamp at the bottom of each page, and it just keeps running for the entire course of the case. And so it's really, really helpful if in the Bates stamp column, if your documents are Bates stamped, that you list that, so that whenever you're communicating with your attorney or with even the opposing party, you can reference that number, because we're not all gonna save the file the same way and all of that. So it just helps with communication. Then of course, if you're missing anything, we just have a notes column, and in this example, we're missing page 4 of the tax return for whatever reason. Then the next step, once we've inventoried, we've got a timeline, and we've inventoried everything we have to date, which once again, we just keep updating throughout the process. Then we have our account index. Our account index is really a dashboard of our financial information. So we might have listed or we would have listed on the document inventory the bank statements that we have and so forth, just from a very high level. These are the years we have, bank account numbers that we have. But then we like to dive deeper, because we are accountants, and look at what were the account names, the account numbers. We're going to give it some sort of reference so that we all know what we're talking about. We're going to list what we have inventoried, and we're actually going to look at every page. Do we have every page of that bank statement? What's the beginning balance of the first bank statement we have? What's the ending balance of the last bank statement we have? And then we actually document, we call it scheduling, but have we digitized these bank statements yet? Then we can identify, are we missing information? And then probably the two areas that are often overlooked that we have to go back and keep asking for are either check images, which are the like scanned pictures of the checks that have cleared the bank account, and the deposit items. The deposit items are, if you go to the bank and you make the deposit, you get the deposit slip, right, and summarize it. That's usually what you receive a picture of at the end of your bank statement. What we're wanting here are the actual copies of the checks that were deposited with that deposit slip, not the summary, the actual checks. And so a lot of times when we need to see where did the deposits come from, we're going to need those deposit items. So this lets us track that as well. We also track loan accounts on this sheet. We track bank accounts. We track the investment accounts or any other accounts. We also track credit cards, and we keep a list on the account index of anything that, as we're doing our analysis, we've identified, oh, we're missing something. We're missing an account. And so then we can track that. And when we're able to ask the attorney or the client for additional information, they can provide that to us. So find money in divorce is essentially this organized process that we use internally to help us take what we know to identify what we don't know. Because there's no legal database, no court admissible database where we can go and enter a spouse's information by social security or date of birth, all of that, to identify actual financial accounts. So what we have to do is start with what we know, and then look kind of like a spider web, what is connected to what we know to then identify hidden assets. And the ultimate goal is to prepare a marital balance sheet so that when our client goes to the table with their attorney for property settlement negotiations, at least they know everything that's on this sheet. They can feel comfortable that they've accounted for most, if not all, of the assets that they acquired over the course of their marriage. So the Find Money in Divorce course is 5 modules, and we've only released one right now because, and it's the Get Organized in Your Divorce module. And we've released only this one because we need people, our clients, to be organized before they can do any of the other modules. And this organization could take months, not because our process takes a while, but because getting the information that you need. You don't want to just analyze one bank statement. You're going to want to analyze several years of that bank statement. And so that's why we've released this one first. Each course comes with a workbook, an instructional video, templates, and template video tutorials. And I'll show you what that looks like. So at findmoneyindivorce.com, this is our website, and there's more information there. You actually sign up and register for the course just by going to this page and clicking Buy Now, which at the end of this presentation we'll have, I'll be sending an email with a discount code for attendees. But so you would register, and that will take you to our the site, the platform that hosts the whole training and module. So we have a welcome video, we have a workbook, we have a dashboard that I'll show you in a minute. And then we also have a about 45 minute step-by-step. I walk you through how to use these different tools that we've actually talked about today, why they're important. Also just talking about where do you get this information off of a bank statement? Where do you find this information on a credit card statement? And then we have very detailed, this is how you use the different tutorials, the different templates by our tutorial videos. So we have several of those. So the workbook that comes with the Find Money in Divorce course can be downloaded or printed, and it's an interactive PDF. So, you can work through this checklist. You can, so this goes through the things that we've talked about today, the timeline, but it goes into it in a lot of detail and giving you ideas about things to include. Then we also go through the document inventory like we did, but much, much more detail, telling you how to fill it out. And then one of my favorite things that we've included in this workbook is that at the end of every section, you're going to actually more than likely identify some things that, oh, I didn't know this existed, or yeah, I knew this existed, but I just need a place to remember this information. So we've made it where you can enter, if you use this in the PDF format instead of printing it, I guess you could do it if you print it too, but you can keep track of your findings as you go through the course. And so every module has a workbook where you can track this information. And then at the end, we're going to go back to all of those sections and put that all together for your property settlement or your marital balance sheet, or what we call our asset tracking sheet. There's also a place there for you to take notes of, this kind of looks weird, or maybe I remember a piece of property, but I don't remember where it was. So that could be where you want to research further. And then also, if you just have questions for your attorney, it's a really nice place to keep that. Then we also we go through the account index, and we have some quizzes, and we go into a lot of detail of why this is important to do the account index. And then here we have a sample bank statement so that you can know which items go where on your account index. And then, as we mentioned, bait stamps earlier, this is just an example bait stamp at the bottom, this brown versus brown. Then we have a sample credit card statement, sample check, and sample deposit slip. Then we have, as part of, once again, just part of the course, the dashboard that's referenced here. I've already opened it. And this is where, as you move through the process and get the different modules, then we've included templates. And then once you get to the analysis step, where we actually include our scripts and macros and things, and you'll be able to run everything from this dashboard. But for today, just an example, you just click create or edit timeline. And then this creates all of these in Google Sheets for you. So you can just get to work and enter the information. We have a document inventory option, and where we've got all of the different columns, and then also the account index. I'm going to switch this screen one more time. All right. So the last thing I wanted to mention about Find Money and Divorce is that, like I said, Find Money and Divorce is to help the fact finder, and whoever that might be in your case. But we know that as you move through things, you just might need some extra help. And so we actually have what we call our Data Sleuth coaching calls. So we can help you move to the next step and maybe help you brainstorm or whatever. And they're 30-minute calls that we schedule. And then maybe you get into this and this is just too much to keep track of. Then obviously our forensic accountants and our data sleuths, we're always happy to work the case entirely. But we want, our real heart behind this is that we can empower more people to go to those settlement negotiations informed and able to make, they can feel confident about their decisions because they've actually learned what these different financial, documents and information mean. And so then they can be empowered to make great decisions going forward. Like I said, a discount code will be mailed to everyone if you're interested in checking out our online course, and it's a 20% discount. And all of the information about Find Money and Divorce is available on our website at findmoneyanddivorce.com. So, okay, it took me a little longer than 20 minutes, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has one. All right, I'm going to put my email address in here. If you would like to, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And I appreciate your time today. And I hope this is at least helpful to, maybe you've seen our ads or posts or even our podcasts on finding money and divorce, finding those hidden assets. So maybe this helped just kind of show you what we're trying to talk about. But please let me know if there's ever a way we can help you. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.